Uh, we are live.
We are live, Bosh. Hello, ladies and gentlemen of estate agency land. This episode is going to probably be the best because we've managed to sort of like swerve the big lad from Sunderland. JP, JP is on holiday in Greece, is it?
Yep, Greece. I think he's enjoying himself out in Greece right now, so sunning it.
I love Greece. We've just come back from Greece. How Kadiki we went.
Yeah, I've been there. Very nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. And for you estate agents, if you only get one little piece of information from today that you take away and actually use, go to ICOS Resorts. They're really good. It was estate agents that recommended them to me. I think Jeremy Tyler, Nicola Broomham, Ian White. I sort of asked about them, and just loads of people piled in on Facebook. Go to ICOS, go to ICOS. Who else? Aaron Cox of Asprey, great agent. So all good, all good. So Paul, because it's just me and you, it feels so much more natural, and I can understand it. I can understand what's being said without subtitles. It's gonna beat me up.
The subtitles along the bottom, translated.
Oh wait, man.
No, it's been a mad few weeks. We've had just some advice for all the agents that get to watch this is that at the moment, just be careful with your Facebook ads and what you're doing at the moment. Perhaps just step back a little bit. There's loads of Facebook pages being restricted at the moment by mistake by Facebook. So that pretty much means that you're restricted doing a lot of things, and that's been because of Facebook releasing new AI technology to try and do more machine work rather than humans doing it, and it hasn't done a very good job. So just be aware of that. So definitely.
What sort of things? Because I've been hearing about this from clients as well, and I know you've been solving the problem for a lot of people. I see your name mentioned a lot. What's give us an example of what's happened and the way around.
Yeah, so there's not too much you can do apart from if you're putting through new ads at the moment, so boosting new things or creating ads, there is more of a chance of you getting your page restricted by accident by Facebook. And it sounds easy to sort out, but it's not, because once Facebook restricts something, you could be waiting weeks, months, and might not even get it back to how it was. So really, I would just hang fire perhaps this week and next week, start looking at things then. But some of the big mistakes that agents have been making are things like having too many admins on their Facebook page. So amount of accounts I go into, and there's probably about 7 admins on the page. And remember, admin means that someone can delete everyone and take ownership of the page. So Facebook doesn't like that because it's a high risk for them to have a page like that. So perhaps go through your admins and remove anyone that's not working for you, or change their roles if they don't need to be able to add and remove people. That's one thing.
What would a good role like? Is it obviously the owner should be always the number one admin? Yeah. Then what's the next rundown for, say, like a VA that's running your Facebook?
Editor would probably be enough. So editor allows you to put those posts on the page and do the basic things. And then there's an advertising role as well, advertiser, which means that someone can create adverts for the company as well. But admin really should be for the owner. There are some software companies like websites and software companies that need that admin access, but it does cause security issues. And then the other one, which is a big one, which most agents don't know about, but Facebook seems to be tightening up on, is personal attributes in their posts and ads. So Facebook's got this real worry about people feeling that they're being spoken to directly in a bad way. So the machine learning doesn't do this very well as well, but what you do need to do is try and sort of draw back from the yous and yours too much if it's going to be an advert, definitely. So rather saying
this is AI gone mad, isn't it?
It is. So if every one of your posts has you and your and other in them too often, pretty much every line, then that's going to cause problems. So just check what content you're putting out as adverts, and if it's got you and your and other too much, then just draw it back a little bit.
Does it do it with organic posts? You know, if you were to post something organically and it had like your property, and this is how we're going to serve you, and
yeah, well, it never did it to a degree to worry about it, but who knows what the new version of Facebook is doing and where it's gone wrong. You know, maybe it was too strong with what they've turned on, and it has picked up things on pages and posts, but really it's more to do with the ads. That's anything that's promoted is it really does the checks. And you can use you and your, but you can't just straight away say you are a landlord. You know, listen to this post. You know,
because you and your are two of the most powerful words in writing content. You know, because they just are. They've always have been. It's your situation we're talking about, and this is why, and that's to you, and this is so that's very, very interesting. This is why you get paid the big bucks, Paul Long. Did you have a lot of stressed agents messaging you, go, Paul? Like that?
Yeah, no, we've had a lot. So it's still going on because there was a lot of mistakes made by Facebook, and the problem with Facebook is that they'll make a mistake and rather than fix it, they just say, you know, start again because it's cheaper for them to do that. But
too big to fail.
Yeah,
too big, isn't it? Is that too big to fail? It's like the bank.
Yeah.
Wow. So what else has been happening?
Some interesting things on the platform. I wanted to share something which I was given the other day, if that's okay. It was just looking at some figures here. I was actually on a conversation or webinar the other day where they were looking at where all these social media platforms are going, and with the teenagers, which I thought was quite interesting because obviously with teenagers, we're talking, you know, people 13 to 17. These are the next batch of buyers and sellers and, you know, maybe landlords in the future. But they looked at all the platforms, which was Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and it was quite interesting. So this is the usage of anyone between the ages of 13 and 17 on those platforms since 2015. So they've looked at it over the last X number of years. And what it showed was that Facebook usage has dropped by 32% by teenagers in that period of time. So since 2015. Instagram, TikTok has overtaken and is now used by around about 65% of all teenagers in that age bracket. That's Instagram and TikTok. Snapchat, 60%. And then the interesting one, well, the two interesting ones is that Twitter's dropped by 10%, and then YouTube apparently used by 95% of all teenagers between the ages of 13 and 17.
Wow.
That's huge when you think about 95%. So
they're all on it.
Yeah. So a platform to think about for the very near future, which your buyers and sellers are going to be on.
Does it break down the demographics of, like, you know, TikTok do older people go on TikTok now? Because I'm hearing, you get older people on TikTok, but I don't go on it because there's a bit of an ethical thing with me in that.
Yeah, the thing with TikTok is that it's changing all the time. You know, TikTok only sort of came around, I think it was 2018, that sort of time.
Exploded.
And it's still changing. The demographics of who are using it is changing all the time. So I wouldn't, and you know, platforms like Facebook and Instagram, particularly Instagram, have pretty much just copied the TikTok platform with reels and the short form videos. So it is going to be just as popular as Instagram. And with regards to ages, yes, it will get to that sort of level because everyone wants that type of content. So they'll go where the content is. So yeah, to answer your question, people are filling those slots quickly in our age bracket.
So agents need to be thinking about short snackable videos.
Yeah, the TikTok content and Reels content is where it all is now. You know, we predicted this a year ago. So
yeah, I remember this.
So anything 15 seconds up to 90 seconds is the sweet spot to be creating content. You can do it shorter, but there's different levels and lengths of videos for different sort of results. So, for example, if you're looking to get conversions where you're getting people to take an action, then you'll probably be nearer to the longer 90 seconds, 60 to 90 seconds. If you're looking for shares and comments, then it's probably the very shorter video. But yeah, it is now got to be that snackable content. People aren't hanging around on that.
Yeah. Wow. We're getting this attention span of a goldfish in our society.
Yeah, it is. That's the way it is. But that's because the amount of adverts and the amount of content that's hitting us every day is increasing, isn't it?
There is a way around it, Paul. And I tell you what, it's almost like we've rehearsed that link. We haven't, have we? We don't rehearse anything or plan anything in this podcast. Especially when the big lads are here. It's just chaos. But anyway, so what you were saying there about all the distractions. I you know, like I think it was Reagan. Ronald Reagan had a war on drugs in America.
Yeah,
it wasn't really a war on drugs. Everyone knows that. It was just a racist war on poor black people and some poor white people. That's what that was. But I've got a war on distraction, Paul. Do you want to hear more?
Go on then.
All right. So I was on a holiday, right? And I was thinking, I had these every morning. I'd spend 10 minutes writing down stuff. I didn't have my phone. I try and not use my phone at all on holiday. Crept in a bit more this holiday than last holiday. So every 10 minutes, I'm writing these things down. And when I was undistracted for 10 minutes, honestly, it was like I was doing 30 minutes of work.
Yeah.
I was just boom, 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 boom. And I've gone back over the notes and they make sense. And we're going to incorporate a couple of big ideas that came off just not being distracted, just having this notepad in my hand and writing them. So I've got, my war on distraction, right? So this is called, have I showed you this before? It's called a K-safe. So what you do is, I'm not going to do it now because I've got to go to football. You pop your phone in it, for example, and then it can lock. Right, see it? So my phone's in there, but I do that now. I've done that for the past 7 days, past week since I've been back from holiday. 8 o'clock at night, maybe 9 o'clock tonight because I'm getting back from somewhere, and lock it, and you can't get to it.
That's brilliant.
Right. And another couple of things as well. It might be handy for people listening. Is you've got a K-safe, that's called, and there's an app called Freedom. And I had to write a new guide today. Yeah, I spend a good chunk of time on it. And normally I'm a bit distracted, flitting around from website to website. So I've used the Freedom app. I think I paid 70 quid forever. You pay 70 quid and that's it, licensed forever. And I blocked Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm looking at my things here. Gmail. What was the other one? There was another one. Oh, and Slack, because our team do a lot of chatting in Slack.
Yeah.
So for the 6 hours I was working on this guide, I couldn't get to those sites even if I wanted to. You go to log in and it says, you're free to do something else, or you're free, your time is yours. I'm not joking, yeah. I've never had a more productive 6 hours when I'm writing. It was ridiculous. It's, you know, like a
interesting.
It's really, I think the really interesting thing about this whole distraction thing is I don't feel like I've been dragged around today by emails and by other people, and like the phone has gone off and got in there. Listen, if it's really, really important, somebody's going to find a way to get me. And if it's really, really important work-wise, I'd be surprised because it's never that urgent, is it? Let's be honest. So I just think it's been really. I'm going to, hopefully next month, I'll give an update on what it's like. But the amount of work I've done today, it's almost like I've done 2 days work in a day.
But I think you need that solid, I don't know, 4 hours or whatever it is to get your work done, don't you? And I think that's hard to get done now in our industry or with all the distractions with technology. So yeah, that's interesting. It's just getting that balance, isn't it?
Yeah. And yeah, I'll update you how it's gone and the K-safe and that. I mean, I've been using that K-safe for a good few months, and that does help. If I just want to, I just plug it in there, and then you've got to forget about your phone. But there's another thing that I want to talk about, and it's the 4 most important words that estate agents need to be weaving through their copy and content, and perhaps even their Facebook ads. Do you want to know what those 4 words are, Paul? Go on, ask me.
What are they?
Now more than ever. Now more than ever. Obviously, we've got the cost of living crisis, and I'm not claiming I came up with that strapline or that phrase. I think a supermarket is using it. but they haven't. It's not like every little helps or stuff like that. It was just woven into one of their adverts. Now, obviously, now more than ever, people selling their homes need experienced estate agents. Now more than ever, they need estate agents and letting agents who know exactly what they're doing. Now more than ever, it's harder to get the top dollar price for your property. So this creates a great opportunity for good agents. I was saying to you off air, if there's a recession, good, bring it on. That's what I said. I said it to one of our team today who was a bit worried about stuff. I said, no, bring it on. The good always survive in a recession. The good normally get better in a recession. You know? And I've spoken to estate agents, the elite ones, and they're like, yeah, if the market turns, it turns, but we're ready. We know what to do. You know, well, what are your feelings if there is if there looks like there's going to be a recession, but what are your thoughts and feelings around that?
No, I think what you've said is correct. You know, and a good example of that was the lockdown, wasn't it? You know, the good agents really came out of that really strong. And I think the same might happen again. So I agree. I think the really good agents, the experienced agents, the agents that do work extremely hard are going to show.
Exactly. And I think it's the estate agents as well that don't bottle it. And this is not my phrase. This was a guy that I worked with for years, been there, done it, sold his agency. We had a chat before I went away on holiday when the recession talk started. And he said, what you'll find out is some estate agents bottle it.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? And he said, they'll cut spending on training at a time. And really, you want your staff as geared up as possible for any opportunity. Marketing, they cut their marketing. So he said, basically, his agency went through, I think he said 3 recessions, the financial crash and COVID. So they went through a lot, big events. He said, we always came out stronger because we never bottled it. We were very, very assertive. You know, and the example you used there about COVID as well. Do you remember when they said, "Oh, when agencies open again, we'll all be starting on the starting line together"? Absolute nonsense. The ones that were active marketing and doing Facebook posts and blog posts and just keeping out there in the community, do you know what I mean? And being active, purely being active and on the front foot. They started when everything opened again. They were further ahead. They already had instructions waiting to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this myth about recession, and I'm not dismissing it because honestly, I know that some people are going through really tough times as well. But I do think that a recession will get rid of a lot of rubbish businesses, not just estate agents. There's been a lot of businesses for the past maybe 10 years been surviving purely because of the markets and people had a few quid. Where now people are thinking, oh, I want more for my money. Now more than ever, I need a better estate agent. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be really interesting times, but nothing to be afraid of for the good agents. Bad agents, pack up now, get a job somewhere else.
Is there any other content that, as we go into these harder times, is there any other content that you would recommend agents should be creating more of?
Advice content, giving advice for people. Obviously, more and more people, content creators, are jumping on the community content for estate agents. I see 1 or 2 in particular. They're getting on like they've invented it. Welcome to the party, guys. You're 3 years behind us. First never follows. Not that I'm bitter. Advice content, community content, and just being out there. I mean, it's funny, right? I'd love to know how this works. We've had a couple of bigger agencies join us like this month. We want to invest in content marketing. Great. We've had a couple of smaller agencies go, we're cutting back. And you think, that's the reason. That's the reason why some guys are sort of struggling and others are flying or at least doing well. And I think it's a mindset thing, and be a bit bold, a bit brave, and back yourself as well, I think. I really do. But what other things have been going on that you think are worth agents knowing about now more than ever? I'm going to keep saying it.
Now more than ever. So one of the other things, I was looking in our group and we were talking about where leads are actually coming from at the moment in the marketplace. So I put a post in our group, which was where did your last 2 listings come from? And we've done something like this before, but we had a good response on that. And what was really interesting was, yet again, pretty much all of the listings and leads were coming from recommendations, referrals, reviews, all sort of activity that is a result of a good service. And I think one of the things that I still don't think agents do enough of is really sort of look at their, their current clients, past clients, people that they're dealing with. They're always looking to spend money on getting the brand new shiny client.
Yeah.
Things that you can do with your current clients,
Yeah.
even if things do slow down, just giving your past clients a call, and rather than looking for that new client.
It's really interesting you say that. I've got a blog coming out tomorrow, and I've basically said this guy. Basically, I had 45 minutes over the phone getting advice off a guy who runs an estate agency. He's like elite level agent. Lots of people know him, his agency, but I've called him Agent X. And it's 8 lessons from Agent X. And one of them is he said to me, look, I know it's a cliche. I know people have heard this phrase before, but you've got to squeeze the lemon. You've got to see what's in your database. How can you be helping more landlords? You might have a landlord. I know Stephen Brown talks about this as well. How many properties have you not got with that landlord? He might have 10. You've only got 2. Why haven't you got the other 8?
Yeah.
And it could be like, and I know I've started listening to this Matt Steinway, the Australian guy.
Yeah.
I find it really, really interesting on lots of levels. But he talks about prospecting, and I'd never thought of prospecting like this, right? And maybe this is the Australian front and bravado. He says he regularly, all the time, knocks on the door. Hi, I'm Matt Steinway from McGrath. You might not be wanting to sell your house at the moment, but if you ever do, here's my card. I'd love to have a chat with you. And as he's going, he says he always leaves a compliment. So we go, I love the garden. Well, he wouldn't say it to our garden because it's rubbish. Or he'll go, I love the hair, or I love the car, or I love the He'll always leave a compliment. But he does that on the street. And he's done that for, I think he said 20 years. And it's interesting because he's got a young agent who does this podcast with him, who's a bit like, oh yeah, but I do my prospecting at networking events and where it is. I don't think I could do it. I never would espouse to being I'd be a shit estate agent because I'd never be able to knock on a door and just have that conversation. But I was thinking, how would I feel if somebody knocked on the? How would you feel if somebody knocked on the door? They're not trying to sell you anything, mind. They just want to introduce themselves.
That's the important thing, isn't it? Which you just said there I don't think there's many people that have the knowledge to do it in the right way. You just said exactly. I think most agents will probably knock on the door and probably not really compliment and approach it in the right way. And then that's why you probably get quite upset. And it's a very British thing as well, isn't it? Someone knocks on your door, you're like, what do you want? What you're selling?
But this Matt Steinway pretty much tells you word for word how to do it. You knock on the door. First thing that you say is, hi, sorry to disturb your day. I'm not selling anything. My name's Matt. I'm from blah, blah, blah estate agents. Just here's my card. If you're ever thinking of selling or need some property advice, I'm there for you. Anyway, I won't interrupt you anymore. Your hair's lovely. That's 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'd be fascinated. I'd love to know if estate agents have tried it over here and what their responses have been.
I think there is agents that do it. There's probably some rules about it as well. But I think the one which I think is that you've got the prospecting database anyway. So even if you don't like doing that, you've got the database of past buyers, sellers, people who registered with you, leads that have come in the past, old valuations, landlords. There shouldn't really be a need to go really cold because there's people there that you can start the conversation with something, can't you? Oh, you registered with us 4 years ago. Did you ever find something?
Yeah. I mean, like the likes of, I know JP, he's got a tool coming out soon, prospecting tool. Do you know what I mean? Which sounds really exciting. And it does seem the people that prospect the most get the most business. And it's not rocket science.
We did a webinar last week, converting online leads. And we were talking about actually approaching cold people correctly. And we said the biggest mistake that agents make is pretty much not staying in that curiosity mode long enough or actually starting in that mode. So rather than talking to someone and asking them where they've been and where they're at the moment before even talking about where they're going and trying to sell their house, they're going straight in with evaluation. Do you want to sell? So I think starting with curiosity and really finding out as much about them before even recommending anything or giving value, or even a compliment.
Yeah. It's true. It's very true. It's true with prospecting letters.
Yeah.
I've done a presentation on prospecting letters. The first thing I say is lead with a headline to capture the attention. That could be, say the house has been on the market. It could be, I'm surprised your home's still up for sale.
Yeah.
Could be that. I think that's one of the ones we use. I'm not 100% sure. But then introduce yourself. Don't go, dear homeowner, your home hasn't been selling for 6 weeks. Why is that? Because basically you've gone in and said you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Just say, dear homeowner, my name's Paul Long. I'm from Drury's Estate Agents, and my role is to keep an eye on the local property market. Then you go into a bit. We use curiosity a lot in the prospecting letters. Yeah. Just curious why your home hasn't sold. It could be X, Y, Z. And then you start saying, is it the price? Is it the presentation? Is it the people? Is it the estate agent? But you've got to do that softly. So I'm with you on that. Curiosity. Curiosity is a wonderful thing. That's why children are happier than adults most of the time, I think.
True, very true. Yeah.
Or childlike people. And talking of children, when was your birthday, Paul? We can't let this one slide without your birthday. Was it recently?
No, it's actually tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Paul's birthday is tomorrow.
So bring cards.
I'm going to send you I'm going to send you a song, the gift of a song. I'm going to write a song for Paul Long. A song for Paul Long. We've had a song for Ukraine. We've now got a song for Paul Long, which be happier. And how old are you? I was surprised, because you got one of those faces. You could be older, but I thought you were younger.
You could be older, but younger.
Yeah, it depends, I think, on how you've slept and how you
I
know how old you are, because you've linked a marketing promotion to your age.
Terrible, isn't it?
It's brilliant. You know what? I saw it and thought I was 50 recently. I thought, shit, man, I should have done that. Like 50% off something. It wouldn't have been much, mind. It'd been one letter. But yeah. So how old are you?
43 today, and then 44 tomorrow.
Yeah. I said this to Wendy, my missus. I said, you never believe Paul Long's 44. I was really surprised at that. I mean, that means every time I meet him in person, he has to make me tea. Because that was always the rule in my cousin's house. The youngest person in the room had to go and make the tea. And I was always the youngest person. Anyway, Paul, we've got 3 more minutes before I've got to head to Crawley.
Yep.
What do you want to talk about in those 3 minutes, brother?
I think really, as I say, what I'm seeing at the moment is a lot of people worried, worried about where things are going and where valuations of businesses come from. But I think, as you said, I think a lot of really good things will happen. And I think it's just about really looking at your database at the moment, looking at the business you've already done, what you've got there already, and tapping into that. Because I think right now, like it was with COVID, that would be the place to start, really sort of looking at your current client base.
You know what? I think I'd agree. I think people probably have to work a bit harder. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not going, instructions not going to fall in your lap, and sales are not going to fall in your lap. I know that sounds harsh. I think people need to buy this book as well, which was recommended to me by Sam Hunter and Tom McGee, 2 of the smartest people in the estate agency.
I thought it was going to be your book.
Oh, no. We'll talk about my book next month, because we're in production phase on that. 365 daily ideas for estate agents who give a shit, to give it its full title. And yes. It's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be better than the Argos catalogue to a kid 20 years ago. It's going to be that important literary piece of work. But no, I'm with you. I don't think there's anything to fear about the next few months. I do genuinely think for the good businesses, they should be rubbing their hands thinking, we know we're gonna work harder than agent B. We know we've got better marketing than agent C. We know we've got more integrity than agent D. And all that integrity, and like you said, all that service, it's going to come to fruition. It is going to come to fruition. So I think if you're a good agent, just rub your hands and think, yeah, bring it on. Be ready. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not going to do that silly thing that John Paul does where he jumps off and leaves us hanging. I'm not. So if you do, that's down to you. But I'm just going to wait until you sort of close the show.
Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week. And we'll all speak to you again very soon. Thanks, everyone.
Professional to the end.